When people talk about the Pacific War, they usually imagine massive naval battles. Aircraft carriers burning on the horizon. Iconic beach landings carved into history books. But hidden between those famous battles, there was another war. Smaller, closer, far more personal. A war fought hole by hole, cave by cave, on remote coral islands that history almost forgot.
This video demo is the property of VL Tape Society.
September 1944. Peleliu Island, a tiny dot in the Pacific Ocean that would soon become one of the most horrifying meat grinders the United States Marine Corps had ever faced. Initial estimates claimed the battle would be over in 4 days. The reality was far worse. It lasted more than 2 months of non-stop suffering. The Japanese defenders on Peleliu, under the command of Colonel Kunio Nakagawa, had learned from earlier defeats. They no longer relied on suicidal Banzai charges at the beaches. Instead, they transformed the island itself into a weapon, especially the coral ridges. What the Americans called Bloody Nose Ridge was not just terrain, it was a fortress. Hundreds of interconnected caves, hidden bunkers, camouflaged machine gun nests, a living labyrinth carved directly into stone. To the Marines sent to capture it, Peleliu was hell. Scorching heat, almost no drinking water, and an enemy that seemed to merge with the mountain itself, emerging from shadows to kill, then disappearing back into rock. But as the battle dragged on and death became routine, something else began to creep into the minds of the Marines, a terror that did not come from bullets or mortars, something born from the echoes of the battle itself. Corporal Sullivan was a young Marine from Boston. He was part of a company assigned to clear a series of caves along Bloody Nose Ridge. After brutal close-quarters fighting, his unit managed to seize a major cave complex. They set up an improvised command post inside it, surrounded by the smell of gunpowder and death. The cave was filled with bodies, alive and dead. On the first night, no one was afraid. They were too exhausted. But on the second night, something changed. Sullivan was standing guard near the mouth of the cave when he heard it. From far away, from a section of the ridge that was supposed to be secure, came the echo of a Banzai war cry. It was faint, as if carried by the wind, but unmistakable. Sullivan immediately reported it to his sergeant. A patrol was sent out. They found nothing. "Just the wind moving through the rocks, kid," the sergeant said, "or you're overthinking things." But the next night, the sound returned. This time, it was closer. And it wasn't just a shout. There were other sounds now. Footsteps running, metal clashing, the distant rhythm of a large assault unfolding somewhere inside the mountain itself. Once again, nothing was found. Only silence, only shadows dancing along the cave walls. The Marines began exchanging uneasy glances. This wasn't just wind anymore. Tension inside the cave grew. Men became paranoid. Some fired at shadows. Others swore they saw glimpses of Japanese soldiers in tunnels that had already been cleared. Figures that vanished the moment a flashlight beam touched them. One afternoon, Sullivan and another Marine named Miller were ordered to mark a newly discovered narrow tunnel at the rear of the cave. The passage was too small to enter, but cold air flowed out from within. As Miller crouched to place a warning marker, he suddenly froze. "Sullivan, do you hear that?" he whispered. Sullivan leaned closer. From inside the narrow opening came whispering, soft Japanese voices, low, hateful, as if someone was speaking from just behind the stone wall. Suddenly, a small rock shot out of the tunnel and landed near Miller's foot. A warning, a threat, as if something unseen was telling them not to come any closer. They slowly backed away. Neither of them reported the incident. They were afraid of being labeled insane. Instead, they sealed the opening with loose stones and never looked back.
Days later, Sullivan's company received orders for a final assault on one of the most heavily defended peak positions. They would have to cross a narrow ridge the Marines had nicknamed Death Valley. The fighting was brutal. Casualties mounted on both sides. In the chaos, Sullivan became separated from his unit. He took cover behind a coral outcrop, desperately trying to reload his rifle. That was when he saw them. From a small cave above his position, several Japanese soldiers began emerging, preparing a counterattack. Sullivan was alone. This was it. He gripped his rifle, ready to die fighting. Then, something impossible happened. From behind Sullivan, from a position that should have been fully under Marine control, came a deafening shout. "Banzai!" Sullivan spun around, expecting an attack from the rear. What he saw were not living men. He saw translucent figures, smoky silhouettes of dozens of Japanese soldiers, fully uniformed, rifles fixed with bayonets. They ran straight through solid rock, through Sullivan himself, leaving behind a freezing cold that pierced his bones. They charged toward the living Japanese soldiers above. The Japanese defenders froze in terror. They didn't fire at Sullivan. They fired at the ghosts of their own comrades, screaming, panicking as the spectral charge slammed into their positions. Sullivan could only sit there, frozen, watching two worlds collide in a surreal horror show. Then, silence. The ghostly charge vanished, and so did the Japanese soldiers who had been there moments before. Sullivan was found hours later. His unit discovered him sitting against the coral rock, rifle still in his hands, eyes wide open, his body shaking uncontrollably. He didn't respond to orders. He didn't recognize familiar faces. When medics finally pulled him away from the ridge, he kept repeating the same words over and over again. They were still fighting. They never stopped fighting. After he was stabilized, Sullivan tried to explain what he had seen. The Banzai charge, the transparent soldiers, the freezing cold that passed through his body. The officers listened in silence. Then they wrote something else. Severe dehydration, combat fatigue, acute battle shock. The official report stated that the Japanese position above Sullivan's location had been neutralized under unclear circumstances. Nothing more. No mention of ghosts, no mention of screaming spirits, because there was no place for that in a military report. The Battle of Peleliu dragged on. Day after day, cave after cave. By the time the island was finally declared secured, over 2,300 American soldiers were dead or missing. Nearly all Japanese defenders had been killed. Colonel Nakagawa himself committed ritual suicide inside the mountain he had turned into a fortress. The island was silent again, but many Marines would later say, it never truly went quiet. After the war, Peleliu faded from public memory. It was considered a strategic victory of questionable value. Too much blood, too little gain. But among veterans, the island had a different reputation. A cursed place. Marines who returned home spoke quietly of strange things they experienced inside the caves. Unexplained footsteps, voices echoing in empty tunnels, sudden cold air rushing through stone corridors despite the tropical heat outside. Some said they heard Japanese commands shouted in the darkness. Others claimed to hear the same word over and over. Banzai. Today, Peleliu is considered one of the most haunted locations in the Pacific. Visitors who explore the caves of Bloody Nose Ridge report similar experiences. Shadows moving where nothing should be. Sudden drops in temperature. The sound of running boots echoing through empty tunnels. Some swear they have heard full battle cries rolling through the mountain at night, as if the island itself is replaying the war, like a recording that never stopped. So what did Corporal Sullivan really see? One explanation is psychological. Extreme heat, severe dehydration, constant exposure to death, the human mind breaking under pressure. Hallucinations created by trauma so intense that reality itself begins to fracture. This explanation makes sense. It is safe, comfortable, but it does not explain everything. It does not explain why multiple Marines reported similar sounds in different locations. It does not explain why Japanese defenders were sometimes found dead in positions that showed signs of panic, not combat. And it does not explain why even today, decades later, people who know nothing about the battle report the same sensations inside those caves. The Japanese have another explanation. In their culture, soldiers who die violently, especially those bound by duty and honor, do not always leave peacefully. They become yurei, restless spirits. And the soldiers on Peleliu did not die quietly. They died underground, in darkness, in endless combat. Their war never ended. According to this belief, the Banzai charge Sullivan witnessed was not an attack on the enemy. It was memory, a psychic echo, the island replaying the final moments of men who refused to surrender, even in death. Peleliu teaches us something unsettling, that war does not always end when the guns fall silent. Sometimes it stains the land itself. And in rare places, the land remembers. The Pacific War was fought with bullets, bombs, and fire. But on Peleliu, it may still be being fought with echoes, with shadows, with voices that refuse to fade. This has been VL Tape Society. And this was the story of the Banzai spirits still fighting underground.